thanks there to thanks to the panelists, also to Solly for chairing that session, and I think also we all have a duty to spread the word. You know, these are premium events represented up on stage. A lot of thinking goes into the conceptualizing, also the planning of these events, and much of the logistics. And I think we almost sell the event organizers short in thinking they wouldn't have taken all of these issues into account. Just to answer the lady at the back of the last, I finished the Old Mutual Two Oceans half marathon with 21 seconds to spare. I finished the Sanlam Cape Town marathon with 1:18 seconds to spare. There was enough water from me along that route. I think I was the last runner to pass through some of these watering stations, and there was enough. You know, such is the planning, such is the detail of the logistical planning for these events, that even those who are stone last are taken into account. So good on those organizers. And I think the take-up from this session for all of us attending today is, as much as our individual events might have a particular and a unique set of challenges, there's safety in communal thinking, there's safety in a collaborative and a collective approach. As much as they might speak to different target markets, the key learnings from one another are what will inform their policies, their procedures, their planning, and their logistics going forward. So that, I think, was very powerful, very inspiring to see. We can learn from one another, and that certainly should be the big take-up for all of us here today, is the fact that we're able to steal what others have done so well. They've battled through some of the challenges we're all facing, and have come out stronger on the other side. Okay, now euphemistically they tell us that this is for tea and coffee, although I don't know how much of that's going to be consumed with the heat in this room. There are some water stations, some juice stations at the back. I think if we can break for about 15 minutes, stretch legs, bathrooms of course outside, flush only if you need to, you heard the story. We'll come back at about 15, we'll reconvene and then run through until lunch. I think it was Glenn from the Absa Cape Epic who spoke about 2 minutes in the shower with 2-minute shower songs, and that's becoming almost the common talking point now. We're starting to come up with concepts to get people to understand what it is they need to be doing, so that we can match or meet the challenge of being not only a water scarce city and a water scarce region, but one that is caught in the grips of just an unthinkable level of drought, an unplanned for level of drought in this province. And there's an amazing initiative driven by corporate, Sanlam in this case, along with the City of Cape Town and Cape Town Tourism. They've come up with this idea of 2-minute shower songs. So they've gotten top artists to record 2-minute versions of big songs. And the idea is when you get into the shower, you hit play, and by the time the song ends, that's your 2 minutes in the shower up. And the thinking is that you'd have used about 20 liters of your 87 liter per person per day allocation in a 2-minute shower. So that nobody quite knows how many or how much 87 liters is. You can't visualize it, you can't quantify it, but this is a clever way of doing just that. I work for a radio station in Cape Town, and all of the radio stations have run competitions to get people enthused around this notion of 2-minute songs. And I thought I'd bring one of those songs along with you. So as much as the pros have gone out and have recorded their songs, we've asked sort of Joe Soap to come up with their version of a 2-minute shower song. We're not going to listen to all 2 minutes of it, but I think this is one of the cleverer ones, dare I say it, to have come up in the last while.
You can have your phone, a bushy hair or coat, you go without a shower for a day. And if you really do, a tub will see you through. We shouldn't waste water anyway. The city has a plea that everybody sees. At the rate we're going on, we'll have a drought. And if we don't adhere, the truth is crystal clear. Saving water is what it's really all about. Don't pull the bath, don't even wash the car. A shower for 2 minutes is okay. And if you wash your hair, that water you can spare. The garden really needs it anyway. Woo!
think we need to start employing. Everybody was talking about how do we get the message out there. It's about finding innovative ways of getting people to spread the message. It's all fair and well government and big business sort of driving this down people's throats, but when it becomes the talk around a dry fire, when it becomes the talk around social gatherings or just any level of interaction, when people can relate to a bit of music that somebody on the radio sings or whatever the case might be, I think that's when we start making massive inroads into people's thought processes, and ultimately we start seeing the effective benefits. All right, on to our program. So from the Department of the Premier here in the Western Cape, which is looking at event impact assessment, a bit of a study update. So I'm going to ask, and he's got a few minutes that he'll be sharing with us ahead of our event pitching competition. That'll come up next. So I'm going to ask please for a round of applause at the start of the second session for Jan Bester.
Government can't do anything anymore without there being data to back it up. When we try and do anything, we must first understand it to make sure that our strategic response is the correct one. But we can't do this unless we have empirical, measurable, and accurate data. This is a big problem for us because how do you know if data is even accurate? This was also a problem that we identified, that was identified by you as the event industry sitting here. When you go to your sponsors, how do they know that the data that you're providing is accurate? So some solution was being sought by both us as government and as the event industry. And most of you know how this process came along because a lot of you were intricately linked to it. I see a lot of faces that either have done this process or have given us feedback on this process. And a lot of you have actually seen this slide before. So how this process came along is the Western Cape government supports around more than 300 events a year. That's throughout the province, from the smallest community festival in one of our drier districts to the largest running and cycling events in the world. And each one of them gives us a report. So that's 300 plus reports that the Western Cape government receives, done by a host of different organizations, some done by the event organizers themselves. And this creates an inconsistency in reporting. And what that then means is that when a politician goes to say that the Western Cape events industry created 40 billion rand in the GDP, the first thing that someone does is ask how. And then they say, well, they create jobs. And then people ask, well, how many jobs? And that's normally how this string of questions goes on, and we could never answer it effectively with accurate data. This also then means that there was no alignment really with our strategy and our response to issues such as environmental issues. We know how many people come to Cape Town, but do we really know how many people participate in all the smaller events? What is the impact of that? So the gap was identified, and we then had to sit down and think who we could partner with, and CHEC, being the Cape Higher Education Consortium, was the perfect opportunity because they allowed us to collect all the reports that we had and create the standard set of indicators. And that's what we did. So for the last 3 years, we've been piloting this process. So in phase 1 in 2015, CHEC provided us with these 4 tools along with a set of indicators. And we got our 5 big events in the Western Cape, and we asked them to actually test some of these indicators at their event. And it went successfully, and we got a lot of learnings out of that. And we also got a lot of failures, because we also realized that sometimes, even though you have the right tool, getting people to fill it in correctly or provide you with data that they might provide you with data that they think is robust, but when you sit down, you realize it's not really that robust in terms of what your goals were. So that was a big learning for us in 2015. So we sat down again in 2016 and we reworked some things, and we realized we also need a attendee or participant survey, because that's where a lot of the data was hiding. So we piloted that at the Knysna Oyster Festival and Two Oceans Marathon to try and kind of see what the response is on that, and we got a lot of good feedback from that, as well as doing some the other 4 indicator tools as well. So by the end of 2016, we were able to conduct 2 years of impact assessments with our 5 big events and do some smaller attendee surveys at some of our other events. And from that, we started realizing that this tool is actually taking shape and it's working. But the problem was is we've only been using it with our bigger events. So in 2017, the undertaking was to try and move this tool and make it in such a, or reform it in such a way that all our event organizers throughout the Western Cape can make use of this and not only give us data that we could use to further our strategic goals, but also for event organizers to know the worth of their event. And in this room already, there are people who've implemented this thing and got the learnings out of it. And it's so encouraging to see how event organizers actually are able to take data and build on the event, because that's why we have this is an incubation conference. We're incubating events. And it's not just us, and this was the issue that we had, is we thought that we're going to have to instead of using the carrot, we're going to have to use the rod and be very governmental about this and say, you have to do this. But as soon as we started seeing the value that event organizers started taking out of data that they had, it became very encouraging to us. So this year we had 2 stakeholder workshops where we went through all the indicators again to make sure that event organizers are comfortable with the indicators, that it's data that they are willing to report on, data that they find valuable to report on. And there were many faces in the room that actively participated, and for that we said thank you so much, because now we have something that we know the events industry can use. From that process, we had 2 master classes where we actually took our environmental and our social indicators, and we sat down at 2 events, the Knysna Oyster Festival and the Open Book Festival, and we took what their aspects was from the environmental and the social policies, and we worked through it to understand how events understand their social and environmental impact. And the learnings from that again were fed back into this process. Then we had various municipal engagements on a district level with the Eden District, Cape Winelands, West Coast, and which was the other one? I think we did Overberg as well, but it's not there. But anyway, so we actually went to the municipalities and we asked them what are their needs on an impact level? What is the data that they want? And again, fed that into this process. So this whole thing has snowballed because of everyone's buy-in, and Denver wrote down small victory, but I think it was actually a major victory, was to try and get the silos broken down. So we've actually been going with these municipal engagements with our fellow departments at Economic Development, Westgrow, and DCAS to actually take this process and go to the municipalities and start working this into their reporting system. So you may not be asking, like, what's the goal here, and what are we trying to achieve with this? The government loves piloting things until the world comes to an end and we finally do run out of water. But I think this process has shown that we can actually start implementing some of these solutions that we have found to how events get their data and make sure that it's accurate, usable, robust data. So the product that emerged from this is we've created an impact assessment handbook that is open to event stakeholders as well as government officials to understand how you can do a baseline impact assessment. Now, this isn't something that is a stopgap for everything, but it will give you a baseline that you can build on. So this is something that you can implement yourself and start generating better data. So the rollout process for this is that we will make an impact assessment handbook available, as well as trying to assist some events this year in doing the full impact assessment process. What that entails yet is still not clear. We are ourselves still working through exactly how we would like to implement that, but that is definitely a big goal that we want this year, is to help event organizers start measuring their events themselves and not be reliant on someone else to do it for you, because you all can do it. It takes a bit of time, and we know that the first years are going to be rocky, but when everybody starts doing it the same way, you can start communicating with your event or with your event partners and other event organizers that you're sitting next to today perhaps, and see what the learnings are and take it further. We will then also continue to engage with all our stakeholders in the room to try and refine these products. We know that questions that are asked 2 years ago aren't necessarily valid 2 years from now. So this is an ongoing process of refinement, but we will be rolling this out. And then also is to engage. We will continue our municipal engagements. We will continue our masterclasses program. We will continue our workshops to ensure that all the information that you fed back into us goes into this process. So just a thought that we can end off of with here is that we can't do anything without accurate data. We can't be responsive, we can't take our strategy forward. So what we need is to invest in our products, is to understand what your needs are and what your successes are and what your failures are. Because through that, we can build our responses to your issues much better. So to this end, all that I ask is that you continue with your buy-in, and those who haven't gone to our website and haven't just even perused some of the indicators, I ask you, I implore you, please go look at them and see what you can use. And if you have any further questions or any comments that you would like to give us, I'm sure you have our contact information. If you don't, I'm sitting at the far end of the table. Please come and ask me whatever questions you have relating to this, and I will help you by all means. Thank you.
Any quick questions for Johan? Anybody? He asked you to come and find him. Maybe you want to find him right now with a question. Anyone? Is at the back of the venue for? Oh, there's a hand over there. It's on this side.
Hi, my name is Anthony Penderis. I'm the events organizer for the Berg River Marathon, which, by the way, is the oldest event in Cape Town, I think, 57 years old. What I want to ask you on is, I'd like to get hold of that formula that you always, you brandish these figures of so many million was spent in the town by so many athletes. I'd like to know how you calculate that. You don't have to tell me right now, yes, but I'd really like to get all of that formula. Thank you very much.
I will. So if I can respond to that quickly, we will, in the manual, we actually have a section on our multiplier effect, although we shy away from multipliers, and that's also explained in the manual. But there is all the formulas and our methodologies and how we actually formulate our calculations was actually included in the manual, so that would be taken care of by the manual. So as soon as it's ready, it's going through its final comms draft, so as soon as it's ready, it will be published on our website.
Okay, I'm sure there are very many other event managers and event owners who'd be interested in exactly that thing. All right, Johan, thanks very much for your time. All right, we move to a very interesting innovation. Now, the minister a bit earlier, starting out related into action. That action was an event, and with the benefit of time, these events have become mammoth, they've become household names, they've become must-do, must-attend events. So that's the one concept. The other is the notion of an elevator pitch, and I'm sure any of you in business, if you've been to any level of business school or business training, somebody will have told you about the importance of being able to do an elevator pitch. And the thinking there is, if you bump into a funder, if you bump into a CEO or whatever the case might be in a lift, you've got 5, 6, 7 floors worth of time together. You need to be able to get your point across in a succinct, easy to understand manner, so that in that elevator, that person either says yes or no to your idea based on the 40, 50, 60 seconds worth of interaction. So what we've done this year with the conference is try and combine those two elements. There are these events that people are formulating that are still either to be born or are in their infancy, and are looking to grow with the benefit of time. But at the same time, it's a very powerful room, and maybe if we give them a platform to try and sell these events to us, who knows what could happen. There's a team of adjudicators sitting at the back of the venue under the leadership of Dr. Kaya Lala from the Western Cape government. They'll be listening in on these pitches, and ultimately, one of these events is going to walk away with a 50,000 Rand cash injection as part of seed funding. And any of you starting up an event, if you've ever been through that, funding ultimately is the thing. If somebody can just believe in me, damn it, I can do it, I can change it, I can show them. Well, 50,000 bucks can go a long way towards achieving just that. So we have 3 finalists. There was an entry mechanism. They've been sifted through, and 3 finalists have been invited to come along today. They are each going to explain to us in 5 minutes, and we're going to time them, and they'll each be given the same amount of time to sell to this room and our adjudicating panel their idea, their concept, their event. But before we get to that, it gives me great pleasure then, as with all things, we need a prize partner, we need a supporter, we need somebody who's able to buy into the idea, to say, yeah, we'll put some of our money where our mouth is. So I'm going to call forward the founder and director of an interesting business, and perhaps just in talking about why his company decided to get involved, he'll talk to us about where that business idea had come from. It's a company called Quicket. It's a service I've made use of on many occasions, making inroads into the ticketing market. So I'm going to call forward Mr. James Henley, who is the founder and director of that company. There we go.
Yeah, so I'd just like to start by thanking Westgrow. I think we're all enormously privileged to have a government that's so supportive of this industry, and I've seen firsthand in the business I run just how much of a positive impact that has. So back in 2011, before we started Quicket, we used to organize our own little events, and what we realized at the time was that we didn't have the digital tools we needed to be truly successful as event organizers. There were a number of problems with existing services, like they didn't work properly with social media, they didn't work on mobile, and a range of other things. So we sat down together, we drank a few beers, and we kind of really brainstormed, and we decided to start this business, Quicket. And back then, our vision was, and still is today, to build the best ticketing technology imaginable in an African context. So what that meant was looking at all of the globally best players and saying, how do we rebuild this to work on the African continent? It took us 6 years and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but I think today, having run 35,000 events, our clients are testament to the fact that we've come quite close to achieving our vision. Most importantly, though, the reason we exist as a company, as a website, and as a group of people is to help event organizers become extremely successful. And that's why we're sponsoring the winner of the event today, of the pitching event, with totally free ticketing, as well as a full support package to help them really grow it into a major industry player in the Western Cape. And finally, anyone else who doesn't win, or if you're running an event of any type, I'd also like to offer to support your event. I think there's a lot we can do to help you grow it, particularly when it comes to ticketing, but also more broadly with any other advice you might need. We've worked with a lot of the top events in this country to grow them into massive success stories, and I think we can definitely help do the same with you. So thanks very much.
Excellent, short, sweet, and to the point. So there we go. That's thanks to Quicket for coming on board and for being our prize sponsor. All right, I've got a blurb of each of the businesses, and what I've decided is not to read what's on the page, because I think it's part and parcel of what these businesses need to do to sell themselves to us. So I'm not going to give them a head start in their 5 minutes by telling you who they are. I'm just going to tell you who's coming up, and I'm going to tell you what the event is. And in 5 minutes, they'll have to explain to us just what the event is about and why it's an event with the adjudicators putting their support into. So I'm going to ask then somebody please to step forward. There are 3 finalists, and I'm going to ask somebody to, oh, you're already stepping forward, fantastic. The fact that she's sitting at my table means nothing. We've shared a bit of water and a pen, and that's about it. You know? So there we are. The first of the businesses will be looking at a thing called the Gravel and Grape Mountain Bike Challenge. I can't believe the media with anything. That was fake news. The first contestant then is an event called the Darling Brew Extreme. The Darling Brew Extreme.
Hi, I'm Philippa Wood of Darling Brewery. I'm one of the co-founders. For those of you that don't know a little bit about Darling Brewery, we are a brewery, but self-explanatory, a microbrewery based out in Darling. We established ourselves in 2010. We were one of the first, about a group of 3 microbreweries that came onto the scene when craft beer suddenly took off. And in 2015, we were very lucky to have the opportunity to rebuild our whole brewery in Darling, and it really is something to see. Next page. I don't have a clicker. Shall I click? With the idea to get more feet to Darling and obviously to build our brand, we came up with Darling Brew Extreme, which was a single-day mountain bike event in Darling. We first did in 2014. We had 600 riders. 2015, 2016, we capped at 1,500 riders, and we were sold out for both. This year, we managed to add another route, bringing it to 4 routes for the day. We got it to 2,000 riders, another 1,000 spectators on site. So we had 3,000 people for the day at our Darling Brew Extreme event this year. For the safety and enjoyment of all, we can't expand any more on this event, and we want to keep the momentum going, and we're wanting to launch Darling Brew Extreme Adventure in 2018, a 3-day stage race. We're lucky that we have local support between my husband and I. We've got 40-odd years in Darling, so we've really got the community behind us. We've got the farmers opening up 10 farms to routes that are inaccessible otherwise, and it really is. We've got 4% left of the Renosterveld in the Western Cape, and Darling is fortunate enough to boast part of that. So the fauna and flora is really something to be seen. In the Darling Brew Extreme, we targeted May as the year that we knew was very quiet in Darling, and with the Darling Brew Extreme Adventure, we're looking at October. So really lifting up those areas in an other times quiet time. We obviously, as I said, all the community comes together. The other unique aspect of the event is that we only source our product locally. We are very fortunate. We have so many amazing products in Darling: wine, pomegranates, beer. We have Darling Dairy. All of these companies come together to make this a complete unique experience. And we also have a lot of talent in Darling. We draw on lighting, staging, photography, recycling, everything that the community benefits from it. At the moment with DBX, we have 10 people that are working for roughly 6 months of the year, and then closer to time another 60, and closer with DBX we would be able to employ those people all year round. We're also working with the DA representative Michael Ramsamy and Quebec to this year donate 30 bicycles to the community of Darling by work to earn idea, and those people will also be able to ride and be included in the event. Obviously, needs is, our budget is that we would be able to cover on our entries, but what we need is capital to put into marketing to get those entries to start and get people talking about the event. And I'd just like to show you a video just to highlight what we achieved with DBX and what we'd like to do with the future.
Kapag weer rijden. Yeah! Alam mo zoom, di ba crash ako naman? May crash, ik het afgeloop. Ik het afgeloop.
But nice weather, nice terrain, everything worked out great.
Fantastic. Die been net so 'n bietjie begin brand in die einde, maar dit het mooi klaar gemaak. En die moeilikste stuk? Die laaste bult, voor die bier. Net voor die bier, maar die bier het my daar gekry. What was your favorite bit?
The new route because of the single track going downhill.
Yeah, because you could fly down there, right? Yeah, pretty quick.
Yeah.
Oh, it's long.
But all the way past the beer.
All the way past the beer. I rode for the beer.
Thank you very much for your time.
All right, thanks there to Philippa. So it was a presentation with a short video. On to our next competitor, also a mountain bike challenge, but this time it's called Gravel and Grape.
They say mountain biking is the new golf, so another mountain biking event. Okay. The Breedekloof Wine Valley is situated only an hour from Cape Town and includes the areas of Slangoch, Gedini, Breerrivier and Rawsonville. But we are much more than a wine route. We are a region that does not have an art gallery, we do not have museums, and we do not have shopping centres. We have mountains, vineyards and rivers, and we are an outdoor enthusiast's paradise. Gravel and Grape mountain bike event
are three unique events, stage races that take place within the Breede Kloof Wine Valley. The events take mountain biking back to its roots with a focus on technical trails, challenging climbs, and stunning scenery. 2018 will be the 4th year Gravel and Grape will be hosted in the valley, and next year we'll boast with 3 events, namely our Gravel and Grape Extreme 3-day, which covers a total of 207 kilometres, our Gravel and Grape Extreme 2-day, which is a new addition to the portfolio, and then Gravel and Grape Adventure, which has a category and makes it the only stage race for junior riders within the Western Cape. When we look at what are some of the unique features of the event, Gravel and Grape mountain bike events are unique in every way and offer the ideal windows into the world of the Breede Kloof Wine Valley. Stunning views, bountiful wine farms, green valleys, and abundant nature are the rewards for riding Gravel and Grape. Some of our unique features, as you've seen on the slides, include the use of Godini Spa, a hot water resort, as our race village, which immediately includes all your family entertainment as well. Affordable entry fees for stage races, and as I mentioned, the only stage race for junior riders. When we look at some of the impacts that the event has on our local community environment and social impact, permanent routes are now being established within the Breede Kloof Wine Valley of between 20 and 40 kilometres long that will be open throughout the year and link the various wineries in the area. They will then contribute to the tourist offering that we have for visitors within the valley. The Breede Kloof Enterprise Development Trust has also helped with the establishment of a black-owned company, the Boland Trail Systems. This company is made up of farm workers that work after hours and on weekends in building our local trails within the valley and for the event. Some of these workers have also now developed a love for this sport, and they are keen cyclists and participate in the mountain biking events throughout the Western Cape area. We also make use of the Rawsonville Freiburgers who do all the catering for the event, and then the money that they make from this project gets put back into the various communities through the various projects that they run in the area. We have a huge need for a dedicated clinic bus within the region, being a major farm area. And this bus will then travel between the various wine farms, landowners, assisting the farm workers with things such as their chronic medicine. Next year, our 2018 entries, 10% of the entry fees will go towards the fund for buying this bus for the valley. So what do we need to grow our event? Money. What else? Who doesn't need funding? But besides that, a title sponsor, which will help us in establishing the event. We can also do with some more assistance in marketing to the various audiences, the various mountain biking facilities, more mountain biking celebrities to actually enter and participate in the event and so uplift the profile of our event. And we're really working on the different wow factors in each of the different regions to keep cyclists coming back every year to participate in Gravel and Grape. Here's a brief video on the event, some music, just to give you an idea of what the 2017 event was all about.
What's your name? Who's your daddy? Is he rich like me? Has he taken any time to show you what you need to learn? Tell it to me slowly. I really want to know. It's the time of the season for loving. She's a vixen, fixin' to kick some hot game. I wanna be up in the mix. I wanna grab you by the wrist, hun, take you to the dance floor, prove that I'm a slick one, and I consist of everything you want and more, everything you hunting for. I'm in a.
Oops. Oops. Popping a wheelie popped, it seems. Okay, well, that gives you an idea of the event. So thank you all for your time, and we hope to see you all at Gravel and Grape in 2018. Thank you.
Well done to all of those cyclists for making out of that cellar. That's a hell of a task. Cycling between the wine, quite literally. Well done. All right, the third of our events. So we've had 2 cycling events. One now that will speak directly to, well, the arts and artistic expression. So the third pitch we'll hear from is Shut Up and Dance, Battle of the Year, South Africa.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shaquille Southgate from Heal the Hood Project. As you just heard from the last presentation, the music that was played, that's hip-hop. Now, hip-hop was started in the 70s and basically from nothing became a $1 billion industry that generates over 10 billion rand, at least US dollars per year. Now, hip-hop in its essence consists of 4 elements, namely breakdancing, DJing, graffiti, and what's that one? Knowledge yourself. But what it has the ability to do is it has the ability to address any social issue amongst the youth across the world. And 40 years later, it is still the most trending lifestyle choice by youth across the world. We've spent the past 2 years traveling abroad to different international festivals, and having gone there, we've seen the model that is necessary for South Africa to adopt. So in a nutshell, Heal the Hood Project is an MPO, started in 1998. We utilize the elements of hip-hop, creating platforms for positive expression and markets for youth to exchange knowledge and products in a sustainable manner. So what they sell you on MTV is not what we're selling you. It's not what we're selling the kids. We're teaching them how to uplift themselves, how to use hip-hop as a catalyst to take themselves out of the various issues they face with socially and economically. Now, fact is that the events that we started, the African Hip-Hop Indaba, Shut Up Just Dance, etc., are the oldest and longest running battle events in South Africa. What we're planning to do with this event is we need to invest back into the culture and the youth in the Western Cape. Doing so, we're busy establishing partnerships with various departments in the Western Cape government, looking at doing a 40-city tour within the Western Cape in February of next year. The event finals will be on the 3rd of March 2018. That will be the first set. What we're looking at doing the first year is partnering with Battle of the Year International. We will be sending a team to compete in Reunion Island. So all flights will be covered based on that. So we'll be sending the South African breakdance team, which will be selected from the finals. There will be exchanges for graffiti artists. 3 MCs will have the opportunity to travel to France. That is all paid for already. The assistance we require desperately from the Western Cape government, Wesgro, and provincial is assistance in reaching the 40 towns across the Western Cape. Now, as I've spoken to certain people here during the day as well, hip-hop is the element that engages youth and is the easiest way to get their attention and to get their buy-in. So whether you're looking at addressing issues of water conservation, looking at adding value to your festivals, etc., in terms of entertainment. We just partnered with the Volvo Ocean Race as well last week, where we hosted a 4-hour show at the V&A Waterfront Amphitheatre. So, in a nutshell, next year, 2018, we're looking at sending a crew to Battle of the Year Africa in Reunion Island. By 2019, we want to bring the event here. So bring it to Cape Town in order to bring in, as people quantify in terms of the buy-in of competitors at the events. We want to host Battle of the Year Africa, which deals with all 15 SADC countries, and to bring them down to South Africa. And that will be the basis going forward for that. Why we do it is the ability to change the minds and actions of youth, to give them different outcomes and provide them with platforms. We're also looking at underpinning this by having a strong foundation by creating a street dance federation, which I'll be attending a conference for in Rome in January. Creating employment and travel opportunities within Southern Africa and Indian Ocean countries. That's for next year. And providing positive outcome-based results and support to government-run projects as well through partnerships and skill sharing throughout the regional tour. I've already mentioned this part. What I'm going to do just before we go into the video, I'd just like to invite one of our partners and supporters just to say a word. So it's not just me saying this. You'll get this from somebody else. Please welcome Ms. Bonnie Holbach, the Consul General.
This was not rehearsed, but very heartfelt that this is an organization I worked with for the past 4 years. They consistently over-deliver. they have the ability to speak to a younger audience. And if you know that in South Africa, 50% of your population is under the age of 24, we have to start listening to this young population. And they listen, and they engage, and they tackle issues that we might not be able to tackle. So I fully support this organization, and maybe also from an experience side. In the Netherlands, the DJing industry, the music industry, delivers 500 million euros profit every year. So it might be a wise investment. Thank you.
Thank you. Play.
It began in Africa.
Give me a break. Break.
Thank you very much.
All right, I think the adjudication panel are going to have their work cut out for them. Dr. Lala and his team are going to have to work furiously to come up with a winner. I think another round of applause in order for all of our submissions. All right, so right now we're going to change tack ever so slightly. It's the second then of our panel discussions. This will take us to the point where Dr. Lala comes up here a little bit later and we'll run through just who is going to end up winning that pitching competition, and then we'll break for lunch. And what this panel will be looking at is the water crisis, so we'll continue because that, of course, is the dominating theme. But the panelists have been tasked with applying their minds around ensuring business continuity. How are our entities responding? So that's the question. They'll be under the chairpersonship of Dr. Ralph Futterman, who's the program manager at the Hasso-Plattner Institute of Design Thinking based at UCT. And then the panelists, although I'm sure they'll do a far more comprehensive introduction of themselves. Mr. Andrew Smith from the V&A Waterfront looks after events, entertainment and partnerships. Among his core duties as marketing manager, Ms. Claire Pengeli, water economist with Green Cape, Mr. Dan Davis, marketing activations manager, Coca-Cola Peninsula Beverages, and then Judy Lane, who's chief marketing officer, tourism for Westgrow. So those are panelists. I'm going to ask them please to take up their seats. If we can get Dr. Futterman to take over at the front.